Thank you. Your Excellency Governor George Ferguson, Mr. James Givens, Chairman of Capital G, members of the government, esteemed delegates, dear friends. It is indeed a pleasure to be here with you today. I would like to thank Mr. James Givens especially for his kind invitation, and to all of the people of Capital G for their warm hospitality. Let me say that you have a very beautiful home here. Apart from your great beaches, you have one other very important thing in common with my country, Mexico, and that is our proximity with the United States. I think there is a Mexican saying you might identify with, and that is that when the United States catches a cold, Mexico gets pneumonia. And it could be very similar here in this place. As you know, it's obvious that the world economy is struggling to recover its pre-crisis dynamism despite huge efforts made by some of the central banks of the major world economies. I see several challenges ahead this year, 2013. First, the Eurozone is still at risk because it is suffering from a lack of the firm action and bold leadership that it needed in order to restore the economy. Despite the fact that we are 4 years into this crisis, they are still following the disastrous strategy of doing too little, too late. And now we see how a small problem like the one in Cyprus becomes a system-threatening event. However, in my opinion, the landscape of the European situation is a little bit better than 1 year ago. And let me tell you, I remember very well the World Economic Forum session last year, 2012. And at that session, most of the people were talking about the end of the euro. Interest rates, in particular in Spain and Italy, were going up quickly, threatening the viability of those important economies. And today, not too many people are saying the same thing. Even interest rates in those countries, Italy and Spain, have fallen roughly 1/3 from their peak. So Europe is still moving ahead. Nevertheless, the Eurozone GDP fell 2.3% in the last quarter of 2012, and the IMF and the World Bank both expect Europe to show zero or negative growth rates this year. So bad news ahead for Europe still. Second, the United States, our neighbor. The inability of the United States to reach domestic consensus on the economic policy measures needed to restore dynamic growth. The world stood and watched at the end of last year to see if political debate in America was going to throw the global economy off a fiscal cliff. And a definitive solution is still pending in America. The expansion of industry has slowed again, and employment recovery has not yet taken hold. And third, the slowdown in some of the largest emerging economies in the world. Between 2007 and 2012, the rates of real growth in both India and China fell by approximately half. Brazil has not performed well either. Annual economic growth has slowed from 7% in 2010 to 1.5% last year. This is probably because much of its spectacular economic growth of the last decade relied on rising commodity prices and not in competitiveness. Now, these prices are stabilizing or even falling, and growth has slowed. So, in few words, this is still a time of crisis, and that is the bad news. The good news is that crisis also means opportunity for change, and opportunities for those who embrace change, which is more important.